Hi, I'm Bailee, aka The Vegetarian Guide, and in this video we're going to talk about how to navigate social situations as a new vegetarian. Let's get started. You probably never had to think about your diet much before going vegetarian when you were going to be in social settings, but now that you've gone vegetarian, you'll find that there's going to be people asking you questions. You have to plan ahead for menus at restaurants. You might need to bring your own dish to parties. There's a lot of other elements to think about suddenly when you're in a social setting. And what we're going to talk about in this video are some strategies that you can use to overcome some of that initial awkwardness and feel confident in social settings as a new vegetarian. So the first strategy is just to bring your own food to things. If you're invited to a party, you can bring your own dish to share to ensure that you have something to eat, but also to share your vegetarian foods with your friends. If you're at work and you have lunch provided, it might be a good idea, at least for a little while, to bring your own food so you're sure that you have something to eat at all times and you're confident that you're sticking to your diet while you're in transition. Oftentimes when you're invited to a party, your host will actually really appreciate it if you call them ahead of time and ask if there will be any vegetarian options on the menu. I know that can feel a little bit awkward, but you can do it in a really casual way. But hey, just to let you know, I've gone vegetarian. I wanted to know if there's anything that's going to be on the menu for me. If not, don't worry, I'm just going to bring something that we can share with everybody. It can be totally casual and fun, and it doesn't have to be a barrier for you enjoying that party. And this is a good segue into the next strategy, which is to make sure to communicate. Now, I'm not saying that you have to raise your hand at the dinner party and announce to the entire table that you're vegetarian, but it can be a good idea to let your host know ahead of time that you are a vegetarian. So that way you can ask if there's anything on the menu that you can eat or ask if there's anything that you can bring. You don't have to be a burden to your host, and most of the time they'll appreciate it if you say it ahead of time, so they're not going out of their way to make something that you're not going to eat anyway. The same goes if you're at a restaurant. Don't be afraid to ask the server if there are vegetarian dishes on the menu or if the chef would be able to make anything vegetarian for you. Lots of times they're willing to accommodate, you just have to be willing to speak up. The next thing you'll want to do is be prepared for questions. Sometimes when you announce that you're vegetarian, or even if you don't explicitly announce it and other people at the party can sense that you're not eating meat, they might be curious about your diet. Sometimes that curiosity is just that, curiosity. They really want to know about why you're going vegetarian. They're interested in what you're doing. They think it's really cool. And other people are going to have a little bit of a problem with it. For some reason, I don't know, but some people can take offense to the decisions that you've made to go vegetarian. It's just how it is. It's something that you have to be prepared for as a new vegetarian. People will ask questions and they might already have a response or a judgment ready about you when you say why you've done it. Resist the urge to lecture, resist the urge to take offense, to get angry about it. Have some simple, polite answers prepared. So if people ask, why have you gone vegetarian? You can say something simple as, I just want to try a plant-based diet for a while and see if it works for me. Something that'll shut down conversations if you can get that vibe that people might be a little bit on the fence about being nice about the conversation. This isn't going to be something that you're going to have to worry about with most people. The majority of people are just going to be interested in why you're doing it. They're going to think you're really cool, that you're making a good choice. They might ask you about the foods that you like to eat. You will have to probably be prepared for the question about where do you get your protein. It's going to come up a lot. It's the number one question that a lot of people have. So if you have a response ready for that before you go to a party, then you can whip it out like that and you won't get caught off guard and you won't feel like you're being ambushed by a bunch of questions. If you're going out to dinner, something that can be really helpful is to look at the menu ahead of time before you go to the restaurant. Now, if you happen to do that and you see that there is absolutely nothing on the menu that you can eat, which most of the time isn't the case because really no matter what, there's always going to be a salad or French fries or something that you can eat. But if you do look at the menu and see that there's really not very many options for you, then you can suggest to your friends or your family perhaps that you go to a different restaurant. Or worst case scenario, you eat beforehand, and then you can just have some drinks and enjoy the company with your friends while you're there. This is something when you go out to a restaurant, obviously everyone goes out to have a good time, to spend time with their family, with their friends, to enjoy, but it doesn't necessarily have to just be about the food. I know that makes no sense because you're going to a restaurant to eat great food, but if you try to tweak your mindset a little bit and see it as an opportunity to have a great time with your friends and family, and the food is just kind of a bonus, then it doesn't make it as such a big deal. The next strategy is to have a plan ready when you go to the party or whatever social event you're going to for how you're going to overcome temptation or cravings. I have a whole other video that I'll link to that has information about how to overcome cravings and temptation. But in these social settings in particular, it's important that you have a plan before you go as to what you're going to do. So if you know that you're going to a place where meat is going to be served and that might cause you to have some cravings or to feel tempted to eat some of these things, know exactly how you're going to tackle that ahead of time. Some strategies are to have a motto that you can say out loud to yourself, or you can have a piece of paper where you've written down your why so you can double check back on that before you get sucked into the temptation. Or you can just have a simple snack in your purse. So if something comes up and you really have a craving for something, you can whip out that snack and that'll help overcome that craving that you have. Another trick, which I've hinted at a little bit already, is that if you eat before you go to a social event, that can eliminate some of the stress of not having options. If you have a full belly because you've just eaten a big meal full of protein and healthy fats and things that are going to keep you full, then you're going to be able to resist any temptation that comes up a little bit more easily. And if there's not a lot of options for you, it's not such a big deal because you're full anyway. These are a lot of different strategies that you can use to navigate social scenarios when you're a new vegetarian. There's going to be a lot of other more specific social things that might come up for you in the course of your journey, which I highlight inside the Vegetarian Survival Guide, which you can get in Veg Essentials. I will link to that in the description box below. Remember that going vegetarian is supposed to be fun. You're supposed to be able to go out with your friends. You're supposed to be able to go to restaurants and still enjoy all of the fabulous company, all of the fabulous food. Don't stress, stay confident, you can do this. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, cheers to your vegetarian journey.